खबरां दा लेखा जोखा विच आप सब दा स्वागत है।
Khabran Da Lekha Jokha, October 30th, 2024 has been sponsored by Hanif Litigation. Any criminal or regulatory law matters, contact lawyer Shahid Hanif at 604-626-3144. Hanif Litigation. Vancouver police re-arrest man convicted of 2022 stabbing in a Tim Hortons. Vancouver police say a man convicted of stabbing a stranger in a Tim Hortons downtown has been re-arrested. David Richard Morin pleaded guilty to aggravated assault in connection to the January 2022 stabbing inside the Tim Hortons at Harbour Centre near Seymour and West Hastings Street. Security footage showed the victim, who police described as a newcomer to Canada, standing near the door when a man ran up from behind and repeatedly stabbed him before running away. Police say Morin was originally sentenced to 3 years in prison but obtained statutory release earlier this year after serving 2 years of his sentence. The Vancouver Police Department arrested Morin again on a Canada-wide warrant Monday afternoon at his Vancouver residence. Among the conditions of his release was a requirement to abstain from consuming illicit drugs or alcohol. The Canada-wide warrant was issued after he allegedly breached those conditions, the VPD said in a release on Tuesday. Police say he remains in custody.
वैनकूवर पुलिस ने वैनकूवर विखे टिम होटन ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ 2022 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਨਵਰੀ 2022 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਛੁਰੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਮਲਾ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਅਰੈਸਟ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਹੈ। ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਉਸਦੇ ਘਰੋਂ ਅਰੈਸਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ। ਉਸ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਪੂਰੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਭਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾਰੰਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਨ ਉਹ ਜਾਰੀ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਸਨ। ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਗੁਨਾਹ ਦੇ ਲਈ 3 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ। 2 ਸਾਲ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਲੀਜ਼ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ।
Recounts really alter elections. There's another reason they matter, says BC expert. Recounts may not change election results very often, but British Columbia political scientist David Black says they play an increasingly vital role in demonstrating election integrity. There is the quality control, the quality assurance, the self-correcting nature of our system showing up and demonstrating that it works, said Black, an associate professor at Greater Victoria's Royal Roads University. Premier David Abe's NDP claimed victory on Monday in BC's October 19th election, but the counting isn't over. 2 judicial recounts were triggered at the end of the final count by an NDP candidate's 27-vote victory margin in Surrey-Guildford and a Conservative candidate 38-vote win in Kelowna Centre. Elections BC says district electoral officers must apply for a judicial recount of the margin of victory is within 1/500th of all ballots considered in the riding. Recounts are conducted by a BC Supreme Court judge and may include all of some of the ballots in an election. Elections BC said in a written response that the timing of the recounts would be up to the presiding judge. Black said hands recounts were originally needed to check for human error in manual tabulation. But Black said the need for recounts has not diminished with the advent of digital and machine counting. Instead, it has increased with the rise of voter skepticism about technology that is not well understood. Recounts done by hand with human scrutineers present visibly verifying each ballot, and the most visible and public-facing parts of an election operation to assure the public that their votes are being counted accurately, he said. At the end of the day, democracy is an act of faith, Black said. We had 2 million plus people vote in this last election in BC, and democracy is a kind of a black box. You vote, the machine does its work, and out comes a result which has a significant effect on your life. The distance between your vote among 2 million and that government on the other side, it's a long one, and it's one that really depends on you trusting that our non-partisan elections administration are doing the work of ensuring that integrity. There have already been 3 hand recounts in the BC election and they did not have much impact. Full recounts were triggered in Juandi Fuka, Malahat and Surrey City Centre because the NDP was leading by margins below 100 after the initial count. But the recounts only saw the tallies shift by a few votes. And by the time mail-in and absentee votes were complete, the NDP had won Juandi Fuka, Malahat and Surrey City Centre by 141 votes and 236 votes respectively. A partial recount was also conducted in Kelowna Centre, reducing the Conservative idea by 4 votes. The party still won by 38 votes, although the judicial recount has now been triggered. History also shows that overturning a BC election could count isn't common. In 2020, a judicial recount was held in West Vancouver, sea to sky, where BC Liberal candidate Jordan Sturdy was ahead of 41 votes. The recount increased his victory margin to 60. In 2013, a recount was triggered in Coquitlam, Maillardville, where the NDP's Selena Robinson was ahead by 35 votes. She ultimately won by 41 votes. There were no judicial recounts in 2017. Former independent Delta South MLA Vicky Huntington agreed that it's unusual for recounts to change election outcomes, but she has first-hand experience that very occasionally they do. In the 2009 BC election, Huntington was behind by 2 votes in the initial tally. A judicial recount found that she had won by 32 votes. Obviously, recounts matter, Huntington said. I think you always want that opportunity to recount because ultimately you never ever know, has somebody managed to impair a machine or is a machine impaired? So that recount has to be by a human being as a double check on the efficiency of machinery. Huntington said it may take BC a few more elections under digital tabulation to really have a sense of how machines will have changed the process. For Black, the need for electoral authorities to show their processes in a transparent fashion has only grown given the politicization of election logistics. He said statements of faith in the BC election process by Conservative leader John Rusted and others showed that mistrust in the province had not reached the level seen in the United States. But he said agencies such as Election BC need recounts as visible evidence that administrators look for and fix mistakes. That's where the system is self-correcting, Black says. That's where the system is demonstrating to the public its integrity in a visible way.
BC ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਉਪਰੰਤ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਪਰ 2 ਰਾਈਡਿੰਗਸ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਕਾਨੂੰਨੀ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਮਿਣਤੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ। ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਨਿਰਧਾਰਤ ਮਾਪਦੰਡ ਤੋਂ ਹੇਠਾਂ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਦਾ ਫਾਸਲਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਮਿਣਤੀ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ ਉਹ ਅਧਿਕਾਰਤ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇੰਪਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਿਛਲਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਉਦਾਹਰਨ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀ ਚਰਚਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਰ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਕਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਫਰਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਿਆ ਪਰ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੈਟਿਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਆ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬਣਿਆ ਰਹੇ। ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਗੱਲ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਦਾਹਰਨਾਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਡੈਲਟਾ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗਿਲਫਰਡ ਦੀ ਰਾਈਡਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਗਿਣਤੀਆਂ ਮਿਣਤੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਘੱਟ ਫਰਕ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਇਹਦਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਡੈਮੋਕ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬਣਿਆ ਰਹੇ। ਔਰ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਉੱਠੀ ਕਿ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜਾਂ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਾਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰੀ ਜਾਂ ਨਾ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਾਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਸਪਸ਼ਟੀਕਰਨ ਹੋਣਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ। ਹੱਥ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਵੋਟ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਗਿਣੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ।
Diwali 2024 lights up Halloween festivities. On a typical Halloween night, neighborhoods across Canada transform with eerie decorations and grinning jack-o'-lanterns welcoming trick-or-treaters young and old. This year, however, it may look a bit different. The start of Diwali, the South Asian Festival of Lights, coincides with Halloween on October 31st, bringing an unexpected mix of traditions to the same night. So instead of carved pumpkins in some neighborhoods, one might see homes adorned with glowing diyas, lamps, candles, knocking on doors for candy. You might receive a piece of Indian mithai, sweets, instead of the usual chocolates. Diwali is one of the biggest celebrations in the world, celebrated by more than 1 billion people globally. It used to be a mainly South Asian event, but it has become mainstream in recent years, with official celebrations in many cities and special sales at big retailers. The 5-day festival is filled with colors, lights, and joyous family gatherings. Here's what you need to know about Diwali. Diwali or Deepavali is a Sanskrit word meaning row of lights, lamps, thus being celebrated as the festival of lights. It was a dark night, no moon, so the citizens of Ram's kingdom lit rows of diyas, clay lamps with oil and cotton, to create a bright pathway for their king and queen to come back after being exiled. Fireworks also lit up the dark sky so Lord Ram could see their way to the kingdom. Diwali is celebrated by many faiths, including Hinduism, Sikhism, Jainism, and Buddhism, each with unique historical and spiritual significance. Hindus celebrate Diwali to honor the return of Lord Rama, his wife Sita, and his brother Lakshmana after a 14-year exile. For Sikhs, Diwali is known as Bandi Chor Divas, Day of Liberation, commemorating the release of Guru Har Gobind Sahib along with 52 other kings from the Mughal Emperor Jahangir's prison. For Jains, Diwali signifies Lord Mahavir's enlightenment, while Buddhists celebrate it as a day of Emperor Ashoka converted to Buddhism. Many also welcome Goddess Lakshmi, goddess of wealth, to their homes. It is also a day when many businesses close the year and start their fiscal year despite differing reasons of observance. All communities celebrate with sweets, diyas, candles, new clothes, and in some cases, firecrackers. Diwali celebration may vary, but all emphasize joy, light, and togetherness. Hindus traditionally worship Goddess Lakshmi, the deity of wealth, by leaving doors and windows open to welcome her blessings of prosperity on Diwali night. Mandirs are visited and homes are decorated with lamps and intricate rangoli designs. Sikhs also celebrate by gathering in gurdwaras with family and friends, lighting up rows of diyas. Many young celebrants eagerly await the fireworks after religious rituals, when families gather on rooftops or open spaces to light up the night sky with colorful firecrackers, symbolizing the triumph of light over darkness. Diwali sparks an anonymous shopping spree as people embrace new beginnings, with Indians worldwide celebrating by purchasing gifts and home goods. Last year alone, Diwali celebration in India neared $45 billion according to the Confederation of All India Traders. Western markets have also joined the festival's major retailers like Walmart and Costco now offer Diwali-related products. This year marks a special moment for South Asian representation as Mithai launched a special edition Diwali Barbie doll, and Desire Christian Louboutin released footwear inspired by traditional Indian jutis. Diwali's significance has expanded well beyond India, with large celebrations now held in countries like Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom. In Canada, Diwali can be celebrated in many ways, from joining large community events to cozy gatherings at home. Toronto held one of Canada's biggest Diwali celebrations at Nathan Phillips Square over the weekend, with cultural performances, Diwali goodies, and a spectacular fireworks show. Brampton will hold its Diwali celebration on Friday, November 1st at Sequecentennial Park in Metro Vancouver. Communities event include the Diwali Mela in Surrey and Diwali Festival in downtown Vancouver, offering performances, food stalls, and more. In Alberta, cities like Calgary and Edmonton hold vibrant Diwali celebrations open to all who want to share in the joy. At home, you can mark the occasion by creating colorful rangoli, enjoying Indian cuisine, and lighting diyas, embracing the festival's warmth and community spirit. Whether you are celebrating Diwali, Halloween, or both, October 31st promises to be an evening rich in light, color, and tradition. Happy Diwali.
इस साल दिवाली का शुभ दिहाड़ा जोड़ा 31 अक्तूबर को आउंदा और उस दिन हैलोवीन है। और हैलोवीन जी इस बारी कहते इस साल थोड़ी जी वक्री होएगी, क्योंकि दिवाली के मौके उत्ते सारे लोग अपने घरों के विच दीवे जगाते हैं, स्पैशल डेकोरेशन करते हैं और हैलोवीन के उत्ते डेकोरेशन ट्रेडिशनल होंदी है। सो कहते कोई सरप्राइज़ नहीं होएगा अगर दोवें जोड़े त्योहारों की मिलावट जी अपने अलग ही तरह का वातावरण सिरजेगी। और दिवाली तकरीबन बिलियन तो उपर लोग ने जोड़े कि पूरे दुनिया भर के दिवाली के त्यौहार को खुश होकर मनाते हैं। और दसिया भी जा रहा है कि 45 बिलियन के करीब जो व्यापारक आदान प्रदान पिछले वरे दिवाली के उत्ते होया सी। और इस मौके के उत्ते सारे लोग खुशियां नाल मनाउंदे ने। हिंदू, सिख, बुद्धिज़म ते जैनिज़म दे विच दिवाली के विशेष त्यौहार को खुशियां दे नाल मनाया जाता। कहते बिल्कुल अचंभत ना होना अगर इस दफ़ा जदों तुसी हैलोवीन दी कैंडीज़ लैण गए तो उहदे विच कोई मिठाई दी बर्फी तुहानूं मिले।
Mounties arrest 6 other 120,000 cannabis-laced edibles seized in Vancouver Island raids, says RCMP. Police on Vancouver Island are urging people to be cautious following a seizure of more than 120,000 cannabis-laced edibles with packaging that mimics early-owned chocolates and candies. Along with the laced edibles, the RCMP Federal Policing Investigation in BC have arrested 6 suspects believed to be involved in the distribution of other illicit drugs, unregulated cannabis, and contraband tobacco. Mounties also shared photos of snacks with names such as Reefer's Cubs for peanut butter cups in yellow and orange packaging that resemble Reese Pieces, Kush Cat resembling a Kit Kat bar, as well as Tonio resembling Oreo cookies and more. They say that the contraband candies seems like professionally manufactured products, but they found out these were made in unsanitary conditions. Given the highly contaminated and unsanitary conditions of the illicit drug production facility where these cannabis edibles were being produced, it is possible that the consumption of these products can lead to serious health risk. We urge members of the public to practice extreme caution if they already possess or come across such products in the future, especially with Halloween being just around the corner, said Chief Superintendent Stephen Lee, Deputy Regional Commander, RCMP Federal Policing Program, Pacific Region. Mounties say that the Pacific Region RCMP Federal Policing investigators executed search warrants at 2 dispensaries and 5 residents on October 3rd. They saw the warrants were associated with an organized crime group allegedly involved in the production and distribution of the products in Port Alberni and Nanaimo from 2 modular trailers. Search warrants were also executed at a suspected stash site in Port Alberni and a storage and production facility adjacent to Coastal Storm Dispensary. This included 2 modular trailers where cannabis edibles were being produced, stored, and distributed, they say in the release. Officers say the search of the locations led to the seizure of the following: over 120,000 cannabis edibles with packaging resembling popular chocolate bars, potato chips, nacho chips, honey, and other candies; over 3 kilograms of psilocybin mushrooms, 1,740 psilocybin capsules, and 400 psilocybin chocolate candies, and a multitude of other psilocybin products; 2.2 pounds of pressed cannabis resin, over 500 pounds of cannabis bud, over 19 pounds of shatter, over 5,000 cannabis vape cartridges, 5 vehicles, 2 ATM machines containing cash, over 164 master cases of contraband tobacco, equating to 82,000 packs of cigarettes, over $400,000 in cash, a shotgun, and other paraphernalia. RCMP says the investigation is ongoing and numerous drug offences related charges are being pursued. We urge members of the public to practice caution if they've already purchased such products and refrain from consuming them as these pose serious health risk, said Arash Siad, Media Relations Officer with the RCMP at a press conference.
RCMP ਵੱਲੋਂ ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੂਚਿਤ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਹੈਲੋਵੀਨ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਪਸੰਦੀਦਾ ਕੈਂਡੀਜ਼ ਵਰਗੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕੈਂਡੀਜ਼ ਨੇ ਵੇਚੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਜਾਂ ਵੇਚੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਤੋਂ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਿਤ ਨੇ। ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਥਾਵਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਹਾਲਾਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਰ ਦਾ ਹੋਰ ਮਿਸ਼ਰਣ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਸੰਭਵ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇਹ ਹਾਨੀਕਾਰਕ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇਹ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 1,20,000 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕੈਂਡੀਜ਼ ਨੇ ਜ਼ਬਤ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਕਈ ਥਾਵਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਛਾਪੇ ਮਾਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਪਰੰਤ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਨਸ਼ੀਲੇ ਪਦਾਰਥ ਨਸ਼ੀਲੀਆਂ ਢੰਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਕਸਚਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਣਾਈਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਕੈਂਡੀਜ਼ ਔਰ $4 ਲੱਖ ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਕੈਸ਼ ਔਰ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਰ ਕਈ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਛਾਪਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਰਾਮਦ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤਫਤੀਸ਼ ਆ ਉਹ RCMP ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜਾਰੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਆਮ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਹਦਾਇਤ ਦਿੰਦਿਆਂ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਕੈਂਡੀਜ਼ ਅਗਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਾਸ ਹਨ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਵਰਤੋ, ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਅਗਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਰ ਦੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਤਦ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ RCMP ਨਾਲ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ।
Weather, safety, everything you need for a spooky but careful Halloween in BC. Ahead of Halloween, there has been a compiled some advice on how to stay dry, warm and safe while trick-or-treating. It will be dry through the morning as a very weak ridge of high pressure belts, and that should last at least until after school hours. But there is a disturbance sliding down the coast which will bring in clouds in the evening and a small chance of some showers around 6 to 9 p.m. window. Halloween will be around 5:50 p.m. and the temperature is expected to be 10 degrees between 6 to 9 p.m. window, and the daily high is expected to be 12 degrees Celsius. The BC RCMP has filled a helpful selection of tips on how to celebrate a spooky Halloween while being as safe as possible. Mounties collected tips on home safety, costume safety, street safety, treat safety, fireworks and more. RCMP says it is important to make sure paths leading up to your door are free of any objects that could cause hazards for trick-or-treaters. Plus, Mounties are asking you to consider using glow sticks rather than candles inside your pumpkins to make sure your home is safe from fires. Mounties say choosing the right costume for your children is crucial. Wearing a reflective, bright costumes will help heighten visibility during night time while out in your neighborhood. Glow sticks are also an excellent method to increase a child's visibility, Mounties added to the tip. Officers say flame retardant materials are suggested for maximum safety and also ask you to choose makeup over mask. Make sure your vision is not restricted. Mask may require that the eye holes be cut larger for sake of good peripheral vision, Mounties said. Mounties are also asking you to make sure any fake weapons like swords, knives and guns that are part of your costume look really fake, because some people still may not be able to tell the difference. Mounties say it's important parents know what route their children are taking. If you're unable to take them out yourself, consider asking another parent, an older siblings or a babysitter to do the honors for you. Ensuring your child is wearing a watch also allows you to establish an agreed upon curfew. They ask parents to teach children to recognize safe places like police stations, fire stations, or other public spaces. Also, they say to stay on the sidewalks. Remember not to jaywalk and use crosswalks whenever possible. The RCMP is also asking parents to remind children to stop and check for cars before crossing the street, discuss an emergency plan, walk in groups, and never enter any house. Mounties say it is important to eat your treats after you get home. Though tampering is rare, a responsible adult should check out all treats and throw away any spoiled, unwrapped, or suspicious items. RCMP is reminding residents that in BC, fireworks are not allowed. It says fireworks are not kids' play. And every Halloween, an influx of children and adults end up at the hospital emergency rooms for firework-associated injuries. Parents are urged to be alert to the many dangers posed to young people who are allowed to use fireworks at Halloween, Mounties said. Some other tips that Mounties are urging include staying away from unknown animals, and for those with pets, put them inside to protect them from cars or inadvertently biting a trick-or-treater. The RCMP also wants to remind people to drive safely, slow down and look for pedestrians. It also says planning a ride home is helpful, adding, don't drink and drive. With extra patrols on local streets, you will get caught.
ਹਾਲੋਵੀਨ ਦੇ ਮੌਕੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਇਹਤਿਆਤ ਵਰਤਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੈਦਰ ਹੈ, ਮੌਸਮ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ ਰਹੇਗਾ, ਪਰ 6 ਤੋਂ 9 ਦੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਹੈ ਬਾਰਿਸ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ। ਔਰ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਮੱਦੇਨਜ਼ਰ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਪੂਰੇ ਦੇ ਪੂਰੇ ਇਹਤਿਆਤ ਵਰਤਣ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਿਸ਼ਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਨੇ। ਕੱਪੜੇ ਲੱਤੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਚਮਕਾਹਟ ਹੋਵੇ ਔਰ ਰਾਹ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਡਰਾਈਵ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਟ੍ਰਿਕ ਐਂਡ ਟ੍ਰੀਟ ਦੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਮੰਗ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਜਾਂ ਬੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਟ੍ਰਿਕ ਐਂਡ ਟ੍ਰੀਟ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹਦਾਇਤਾਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਰ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੁਰੱਖਿਆ ਖੁਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ। ਕੈਂਡੀਜ਼ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵੱਲ ਤਵੱਜੋ ਦੇਣਾ, ਕੈਂਡੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਓ ਪਰ ਘਰ ਆ ਕੇ ਔਰ ਪੂਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਉਪਰੰਤ। ਸੋ ਹਾਲੋਵੀਨ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਹਰ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਰ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹਤਿਆਤ ਨੇ ਵਰਤਣ ਦੀ ਔਰ ਸੁਚੇਤ ਰਹਿਣ ਦੀ RCMP ਵੱਲੋਂ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ।
Ottawa fires back at Alberta's application for judicial review of carbon price. The federal government says Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's application for a judicial review of Ottawa's carbon levy is nothing more than political posturing. Environment Minister Stephen Goldbolt said Justice Minister Arif Virani says it's disappointing but not surprising that Smith is engaging in a political stunt ahead of a United Conservative Party leadership review this weekend. They say the temporary exemption for home heating oil is meant to give time to switch to cheaper forms of home heating and that Supreme Court has signed off on the legality of the levy. The Liberal ministers add that in Alberta, a family of 4 is to get $1,800 this year through the carbon rebate, the largest in the country. Smith announced earlier this week that her United Conservative Party government is seeking a judicial review of Ottawa's exemption of the carbon levy on home heating oil. Smith says the exemption is unfair to Albertans who rely on natural gas to heat their homes.
ਅਲਬਰਟਾ ਦੀ ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਮੁਖੀ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗਰਮੇਸ਼ ਦੇਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੇਲ ਆ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਟੈਕਸ ਦੀ ਲੈਵੀ ਦੇ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੁਡੀਕਲ ਜਾਂਚ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੰਗ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਸਟੰਟ ਦਾ ਰੁਤਬਾ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਹੋਏ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਇਹ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਅਲਬਰਟਾ ਵਿਖੇ 4 ਮੈਂਬਰ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਕਾਰਬਨ ਟੈਕਸ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਛੋਟਾ $1800 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਪ੍ਰਤੀ ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰੇਗੀ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਵਕਤ ਸਿਰਫ ਔਰ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਰੰਗਤ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ।
इसी के साथ हमें दीजिएगा इजाजत। खबरां दा लेखा जोखा प्रोग्राम से until next time, goodbye and be safe.